Right, year two. What is your goal for this session?
There's a problem with low middle writers.
Right, if that's our goal, what's the current reality then?
Coaching each other to improve performance has become key to CPD at Hayes Park Primary. It's a huge school, 720 pupils and over 100 staff, all with their own expertise and personality. So the coordinators for CPD and for coaching work closely together.
It is a bit like speed dating, really. You are matching people up. I look at all their forms, write lots of names on post-it notes and organise people into different groups, matching them up with training they require. And that might be a course, it might be internal training, it might be using coaching, which we use quite a lot in this school. It's one of our main ways now, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Coaching's been really completely embedded now into our ethos here.
Our day is entitled Hayes Park an Outstanding School. And on Tuesday...
It's training day, and head teacher Neil Suggett has the task of involving the whole of his workforce in next year's school improvement plan. Neil came back into teaching after a spell in management and local government. He's seriously committed to the whole culture of coaching and mentoring.
I think coaching and mentoring started officially in about 2002 and gathered momentum largely because it was proved to be a successful way of doing things. Over those 8 years or so, there's been a proliferation in coaching both in schools but also right across the commercial sector and charity sector and every other sector, I think.
There is now a national framework for coaching and mentoring, and that was supported by the government but developed by other organisations based on knowledge of what was actually happening in schools.
So how does coaching get organised? And who decides what happens?
Usually the teams identify their own goals, but as CPD coordinator I also step in, and from teacher voice forms that they filled in and from their performance management forms I may identify a goal for that team. On these forms they've only identified the training that they want.
Okay.
It's a whole year group that I've identified writing.
Okay, so linked to pupil.
Yeah, linked to their pupil attainment target.
Okay.
They're the year two team. They've all got quite a lot of experience, and I think if they pull their ideas together through coaching, then we can identify whether we actually need to
send them on
courses.
They've got a really clear focus on coaching being an approach used by a team of people, which I think is an approach that staff in school always prefer if possible. They like working with their colleagues, debating practice, debating how to improve things. I think what's happening at Hayes Park is actually quite special, but it is, I think, possible for all schools to approach it in that way.
So we need a good coach.
Fiona McRobbie would be...
She's got lots of experience.
Lots of experience. If we said for year two that we're going to put Fiona in...
Yeah. We do find it quite important we don't have coaches that are directly involved in any team. It does make it easier. It makes the quality of the coaching much better.
The point is not to know best, but to help the team find their own way forward. So a neutral coach works with the Year 2 team of teaching assistants and teachers. Fiona is actually the school's inclusion manager.
So the goal from this session is to explore how many ways we can make the low to middle writers more enthusiastic about their writing. What's the current reality then?
Lots of speaking and listening happening in the classrooms at the moment. But like Laura's saying, that when it comes to writing ideas down on paper, not necessarily.
They don't get as much of the teacher or TA focus as perhaps, say, the real lower lows.
So they lack motivation is I'd say.
Lack motivation and independence.
Yeah. I think we've seen a slight improvement when we've been doing about the comparing the two authors.
Wait a minute, you're saying that they're actually getting better already?
They're on the way.
The coach themselves, really the questioning that they're using is very open questioning, and it's not directive at all. You can see just with the body language and the voice and the sort of physical side of it that they're gaining sort of the eye contact and the trust straight away of the people that they're coaching.
What did they not enjoy? Was there anything?
They weren't perhaps choosing books that they were all engaging with, possibly.
It was explanation text, wasn't it?
Yes,
so
quite difficult.
It was challenging, generally.
Do you find that fiction, non-fiction, is there a bias as to what
At the moment, it looks like fiction has motivated them more than non.
What do you think are your options?
A lot more drama rather than...
We were saying, weren't we, if we wanted them to use particular vocabulary, to get them to act out. And for those lower ability children, they will see what the other children are doing and be able to then copy them and understand what these words mean.
The fact that you said that there were not as much teacher and teaching assistant focus on that group, is that an issue and has to be addressed?
The questioning is key, really. And then I think to show success is really that the coachees are coming up with options themselves.
It sounds a dreadful thing to say, but sometimes those very low ability children, you have to think, is that the best use of your TA?
Because they work at such a slow pace.
They
do theirs like step by step. Give them one step to do, then I could move on and talk to kangaroos.
They would benefit far more, wouldn't they, from
the
TA
you're on their case. You need to be on their case all the time.
Is there anything that you feel is a priority for all of you? I think, yeah, that's the most important thing we need to do first.
TA support.
Yep.
And when do you think you'll do that by?
First week back. First week back, yeah.
What I think is special about Hayes Park is that coaching is not just an adjunct. It is actually at the heart of how they bring about improvement in their school for their staff, for all of their staff, and for the pupils at the school.
Coaching's become quite a big part of our school, wasn't it, lately?
The majority of people are coaches within the school.
When we had a training day where we all had a go at being, I actually found that quite difficult because...
You want to suggest things?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So, obviously, being trained to do it is a good thing because I didn't really know how to ask the right kind of questions as to not putting my ideas forward.
You're supposed to be there just to scribe and listen and then restate what's been said to direct the conversation and keep it on track.
I think it's important as well when you feed back to people what they've said. It just clarifies your thoughts, doesn't it? And
we actually didn't disagree with you, but sometimes you can misconstrue, can't you, what somebody said?
Well, sometimes you start with the goal, you discuss the reality, and actually your goal changes.
I think team coaching is really valuable because, you know, no matter where you are in the team, you have lots of different ideas, and I think you can see that through our discussion that everyone was sort of contributing.
It's really good actually to be involved all together because this is how we work best as a team, and if you did that without the TAs, we wouldn't really feel involved, and how could we, you know, implement what we've discussed today if we're not actually in on the coaching?
I think they were quite frightened of it when they first were introduced to it, and I think they thought that they were being judged on their performance, but actually I think now they realise that it is a process by which they can develop, they can move forward in their career.
If staff in a school feel under pressure to do CPD, then the CPD leader would maybe want to consider again the understanding of the purpose of professional development. It should never be something that is done to people.
CPD for teaching assistants is taken really seriously at Hayes Park, and it's been a big part of the school's inclusion strategies for special needs.
Now, Leif, we're doing a tricky one, this one here.
Draw a blue triangle next to the circle.
Perfect.
Our actual profession has developed greatly over the last 5 years. It's actually being recognised much more now that teaching assistants are looking to be qualified, to have that experience and have that skill. So yes, we still mix paints, yes, we still put up display boards, but very much it is growing to aid the learning of the children.
So, today we are going to describe the picture. What is this a picture of, Annalyn?
A basket on her head.
Our Level 2 SEN teaching assistants have been taught on either outside courses with outside providers, or they've been taught by our inclusion manager. So it's a shared information, it's shared knowledge.
This session of the training day is for the 50 TAs in the school. Learning support assistants for SEN are showing colleagues some of the interventions they deliver, so their support can be more effective when children return to the classroom.
A lot of TAs don't know what we do. They don't know what we do at all. And to see them to come and learn, when we take children out for tracks, they now know what we're doing, which is brilliant, because at least they then have a good idea of what their children will be doing with us in the classroom. Just like you've had those cards, I will teach them these. I will hand them and I'll say, this is SLA, this is SMA, this is SNA. Say them back to me. So they are now learning as the children are learning, and we're putting in the position of being the child themselves and knowing exactly what their children are doing in their head.
What happens if over the weeks I still have problems with that vowel sound?
We will stay there for as long as it takes you to learn all your vowel sounds and all your alphabet.
When we have chances like our training days, we will then get an opportunity to learn what strategies are used with children with any type of learning difficulties in mainly sort of Key Stage 1, so lower schools, so reception, nursery, year 1, year 2. And we do sometimes get the opportunity to learn it ourselves and just see exactly what other people are doing in the school as well to boost the children on in their early years.
Yeah. So you can see the improvement, how they have done.
Do they see that? Do they see their improvement?
Yes. We've taken a group of 3 so that we'll have one good role model for them, right?
Okay.
Who keeps on talking. That's nice.
So that helps.
The other kids who are going in shells to come out of that. Okay, it's fine. Even if I make mistake, I can give a go.
It's to help build their confidence then.
Yeah, of course.
It's interesting to see what other people do in the schools, because you see people around the school all the time, but you just don't know what do they do. You have no idea, and it does help, and it would be good to have that with all the everybody around the school. What do they do? What do they do? To actually see what they do? It's excellent.
Learning a skill and an approach and then sharing that with other members of staff, I think is absolutely part of a coaching ethos within the school. It's about individual staff having expertise and wanting to share that with others, or individual staff having the ability to facilitate another member of staff's learning, because it's an approach that is relevant for all staff in the school, all members of the wider workforce, not just teachers.
It's ongoing personal development as well, because like we always reflect upon, when the children are taken from their classrooms, they're obviously doing extended learning, and when they come back, we then like to hear what they've been doing, and then we can incorporate that into their learning in the classroom. So it's personal development for us as well.
People do go on courses, but the problem with going on courses is it's one person out, and they get the benefit of that course, and they may come back and apply it, they may not. Whereas if we do courses and things inside school, coaching, CPD inside school, it tends to involve more than one person.
And that develops people as well, because suddenly we've got a vast array of members of staff delivering inset to us all, so we all become sort of trainers of each other, really, which is lovely.
Yeah. I think it is important that we understand that children won't be able to learn if the staff in the school aren't learning. And if the staff in the school aren't excited about learning, it may be more difficult for them to be able to excite the children in the school about learning. The ethos of a learning organisation or a learning community would be that everybody's learning, and that's the way in which everybody can help each other to improve and develop further.
One of the joys and challenges of working in schools is that we will have constant change. People that say, I wish it would all just slow down, I think they're being extremely naive. No teacher can train at 21 and then teach till they're 61 and expect to have all the skills that they're going to need, because each year the external environment's going to change.
CPD should absolutely be something you would want to do to improve your own skills and your own practice, whether you're a teacher or a member of the support staff, so that you're able to better support the learning of the children in the school.
I think teachers need to remember that they are sources of expertise and they need to share it. And sharing that expertise is part of continual professional development.